Today we're going to recreate a classic house banger by Paul Johnson just using the Korg M1 plugin version. But even if you don't use or have the Korg M1, there are going to be many nice production nuggets to take away from this. So let's jump right in. All right, you just heard in the preview what we're going to work on today. Let's start with the piano. And in my last video, I kind of already went over this chord progression in quite some detail, so I'm just going to summarize it today. Let's have a quick listen to the bass and piano together. Pretty nice housey chord progression. So we basically have an E flat minor 9 going into a B flat 7 flat 9, going back to our E flat minor 9, and going into a B flat 7 sharp 5 flat 9. And then this keeps looping over and over again, going back to our E flat minor 9. So that's a chord progression. As I said, check out the video before if you're interested in the music theory behind this. Also in general, if you're looking for really nice housey chord progressions, feel free to check out my 2 MIDI packs over on my website olienshouse.com. I'd really appreciate it. But the thing I didn't cover in my last video is this kind of nice, funny, quirky melody that we have on top right here. As you can tell, it always stays the same, but it's still kind of interesting because something that becomes quite clear in context, that even though it's playing a melody, it's kind of this percussive element, almost like something that a conga could usually do. It has a specific vibe to it and a syncopation that just adds a nice rhythm. Let's have a quick listen in context. And for this, it's quite important to have the right envelope settings. So let's actually open up the Korg M1 with the classic house piano, just as it would sound if we didn't do anything to it. So just like that, it would sound like this. And you can tell in the original by Paul Johnson, it's a lot more rhythmical. The notes are pretty short as I cannot even play them with my hand. So for the notes, we just have the 4 of the scale, actually 1 octave higher, the 4, the 5 and the 6, and it's just... But you can tell, even if I hit a note pretty shortly, it keeps sounding for a pretty long time. And there are obviously 2 things that kind of have an impact on that. The hall, the reverb, which is making the note longer, but then we also have this release setting right here, and basically a setup how our decay and sustain behave. If we want to make that melody shorter, we have to make sure to get this release time out, because otherwise we can make the note as short as we want. It's not going to have this really short impact. So really consider, if you're plunging in a melody, that you're not just making all notes the same length. It has a huge impact on the sound. So let's go back into our original piano and listen in context. Let's bring in the release. It's cool, but it's not the same as this. It becomes this cool percussive element. And another thing, there is kind of almost like a sidechain effect on this one note which is playing on top of the kick. You can lower the velocity and then put the accent, make the velocity louder for this note right here. Listen how, if I make this louder, it's not as cool as having... So that's pretty cool for the piano. Let's look at the processing a bit. I basically just get some chorus. This is a free chorus by Tal. Get some erosion going, which creates some noise, and then Redux, which is a bit reduction tool, to just dirty things up quite a bit. So you can get this, or you have this. It kind of opens it up nicely. And then something that's also important in this context is that you kind of humanize the attack of this, the timing of these notes a little bit. So if you zoom in here, you can see, all right, these notes don't start exactly on the same beat, which will lead to the sound kind of breaking up a little bit. If you had this quantized really much to the to the grid, all the transients hit on top of each other, which gives it this piano house sound. Just, it sounds too perfect. So you do kind of want to break that up a little bit. It just hits a little bit different. That's nice. Something that happens if you use a bit reduction tool like Redux, for example, you can hear there's some noise still coming afterwards, right? Which, if you want to get rid of that, you could use a gate here. I feel like in context, it's not bothering me too much, but it sounds pretty cool now, the piano. Nice. All right. So for the bass line, I didn't really do much. Just have the pick bass, which is such a nice bass sound. It has a nice like pluck to it, but also really nice low end. It's one of my favorite basses on the M1. So I really left it as it is. Something that I can say here, I kept the velocity almost the same, just for these notes which are hitting the 16th note right here. I brought down the velocity a little bit and added a bit of swing. For bass sounds, I like to do this by hand sometimes because it's really important how the kick and the bass kind of work together. Something that's kind of inspired by people or by bands where you have a good drummer and the good bassist and the bass is sitting slightly behind the kick sometimes. I did something similar here where you can see it's not hitting exactly on the grid right here, you know, which if you then bring in the kick, I mean, the impact is kind of small, but it's almost like this little sidechain thing where this first click or little distorted crunch of the kick can come through relatively freely, and then the bass, since it's so melodic, is slightly sitting behind that. I think, you know, that's something that people also intuitively did back in the days when they were not using that much sidechain compression yet. So having the bass slightly sitting behind the kick can be quite nice and useful. And then the notes I already talked in my last video as well, we're basically going from the 1, 4, and 5. But this rhythm right here, where you're basically placing the note on the last 16th and then here in the middle on the 8th note, just creates this really cool vibe. And then the walk down with kind of sustained notes. Here as well, in the walk down, I listened to the original. I realized just having this last note here a little bit shorter, it's kind of cool, right? It just changes the sound ever so slightly. So if you're working with MIDI and not playing stuff in with the keyboard, it can definitely make sense to consider moving some notes around, do this intuitively, and just play with the length of the note. It's going to have a big impact on the rhythm. But let's now move on to the other melodic elements, and we have an organ sound right here. Also, just keeps playing the same thing on and on. We're kind of playing this major third here, which if you add our fundamental note, the E flat, would just be like an E flat minor triad, right? But then you can play, just thin it out and have this major third here on top. But something that's important, and let's go for the sound right here. This is the organ 2, famous from Show Me Love and things like that, right? If you add a bit of processing, like I added a bit of four-man shifting here and a little bit of EQ. I took out a note right there. Actually, not that little bit of EQ. I wanted to get the high end out a little bit more to kind of change up the sound, right? And we have some chorus here as well. Let's group that up and compare real quick. Sounds like this. Kind of wanted to switch up the organ type a little bit, but something that's kind of important in the context of organs is that the notes that you might have to play to make things work can switch up quite a bit, because you have these drawbars which introduce different harmonics and different frequencies. So if you, for example, go through these different organs that we have here, So you will see some sound exactly the same and some change quite a bit tonally because of the different harmonics which are introduced in this organ, which is kind of just an additive synthesizer in a way. So if you switch around the sounds later and you notice, oh, now it sounds a bit off, it might be because of that. But so much for the organ. Let's keep going with some more melodic elements. We then have some vibes in here, which also sounded like they mainly come from the M1. And at some point he has these melodies playing, just kind of staying in the scale. So we're also playing on these on top of here, adding this, which kind of goes in line with the piano melody that we added on top. But what also happens to kind of fill things up in this production is pretty nice that he said, all right, I'm not just going to play this kind of melody with the vibe. I also want to turn this into a pad. So we have something right here. Which in context. Okay, so if we open that up real quick, we just have the same vibes preset, but we changed up the envelope quite a bit, added some attack time. So let's check that out in solo. Instead of having this little attack here, it turns into somewhat of a pad. Kind of just stays like this pad. That's cool. And then on top of that, you can also add another pad to kind of layer up the chords. And for that, I actually went into the M1 and I wanted to create a custom sound. So I initialized the preset. And then on Oscillator or on Easy, you can pick different sounds. I basically went into the browser and checked like, hey, okay, let me get a synth wave. And then also went into the browser and picked a saw wave. Then you can actually link those up. Added some attack time here. And then you could make this move. So that's cool for a pad and for customizing sounds. Speaking of customizing sounds, we now lastly have to take a look at the drums, of course. And let's start with the tops right here. It's kept pretty simple. Just have open hi-hat, kind of a 909 flavored one. We added a shaker, which is then, and two claps layered on top of each other. So how I like to use the M1 for drums, I usually start with the house kit. So if you go on Browse, Multi, Drums, Hits, you can find the house kit in here. But let's not select it because I made a custom one actually. So over here, once you have your kit selected, you can go into Oscillator and then you have your different nodes basically where you can then select a drum sound. So this is not that nice to work with, but I basically picked out the hats and stuff which I liked, and then you can customize them here. For example, for the shaker, which is playing probably here, supposedly C3. I think that translates to C4 in the M1 over here. So you just kind of select that and you can see actually, okay, I have the short shaker, but I tuned it down by quite a bit. So let's bring this up. Now you can hear it high. I had it at like, here we go. And nice and short. Also the instrument decay down. So if you now, for example, want to get your custom drum rack set up, you can just go on Browse and you will have these different sound, percussions, electronic bass drums, acoustic bass drums to choose from. I did that also for the kick drum. Let's have a quick listen here. It's a nice, it comes from the house kit. There's a kick drum in there, but I wanted to have this really nicely distorted one. So originally it sounded like this, which is also a nice 909 hit, but I wanted a saturated kick. So I created this distortion chain, which I'm actually going to talk about in one of my future videos, because it took me quite a while to figure out how to get this specific distortion, which I liked. And it's definitely enough material for its own video. So let's wrap it up right here. I think these were some nice production skills that you might find helpful for your house productions. As I said, if you like chord progressions like these, you find many more of those in my chord packs over on my website, ulienshaus.com. And besides that, I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Ciao.